And this is the last preliminary bout. After this, we have only the main event left to bring you in this pay-per-view card. So pay attention now as we get ready for Rocky Juarez against Jose Hernandez. You can see the 4-year age advantage for young Juarez. He was a member of the United States Olympic team in Sydney in 2000. Hernandez won a national senior Golden Gloves championship all the way back in 1997. So both had stellar amateur careers. A height advantage of 3 inches for Hernandez, who's from just outside Chicago, although originally born in Juarez. Rocky has an arm length disadvantage of 1.5 inches against the longer, lankier Hernandez, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in at 125.5 pounds, a half pound under the featherweight limit. Juarez is coming back down to this weight after a tour of duty in the 130-pound weight class where he lost twice to Marco Antonio Barrera, both of them decisions for Barrera, the first a slugfest, the second a boxing match. And Hernandez weighs 132 tonight to 134 for the slightly chunkier Juarez. Hernandez got here on the strength of a late knockout of Jason Litzau in a fight in which he was way behind on the scorecards. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Rocky Juarez Jose Hernandez fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules that you see on your screen. Jim, real quick, the 4 criteria that the judges will use to score each individual round: clean punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense, with a strong emphasis on clean.
He got hit way too much against Litzau, and he has worked on defense since then and says, I understand that I certainly cannot let Rocky paint me with punches and touch me up through the middle rounds of the bout the way Litzau was able to do in Miami.
I'm glad he realizes that, because Rocky Juarez is one of the best power punchers in the
Our outstanding veteran trainer, Ronnie Shields, who did such a terrific job with Diaz last Saturday night in Diaz's victory over Acelino Freitas at the Foxwoods Casino. Now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions on this one.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the MGM Grand of Las Vegas, Golden Boy Promotions, in association with HBO Pay-Per-View, is proud to present the co-featured contest of the evening. Sponsored by Cazadores Tequila, Tecate, Rockstar Energy Drink, party like a rock star, and Southwest Airlines. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. At ringside, the three judges scoring this bout on the 10-point system are Adelaide Bird, Bert Clements, and Glenn Trowbridge. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Tony Weeks. And now, this is for the vacant WBA Fedelatin Championship, 12 rounds of boxing in the featherweight division. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing brown, official weight, 125.5 pounds. As a professional, his record stands at 22 victories, including 14 knockouts, with 3 defeats. From Round Lake, Illinois, ladies and gentlemen, Jose Andres Hernandez. And across the ring, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red, white, and blue, his official weight, also 125.5 pounds. As a professional, 26 victories, including 19 by knockout, only 3 defeats. From Houston, Texas, Ricardo Rocky Juarez.
Okay, here we go. Gentlemen, both receive your instructions in your dressing room. Okay, if it goes right here, it's okay. If not, it's going to be low. Right here is okay. If not, it's going to be low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
Juarez, another Rocky, has a son named Rocky Jr., and unlike all other Rockies I know of, they're the only ones with Rocky on their birth certificates.
One similarity we might observe between this fight and its predecessor. Like Medina in the preceding fight, Hernandez, when he gets going, tends to be a free swinger with long looping punches. And like Batista, Rocky Juarez is likely to have the tighter, shorter punch arc. It was a positive factor for Batista in the preceding fight and could well be a positive factor for Rocky in this one.
Yeah.
If you're a layman and relatively new to boxing and you wonder what that means, it's very simple. The longer punch takes a longer time to reach its target, travels in a longer arc, loses speed more rapidly. The shorter punch is usually the more intense, more powerful punch.
Well, and most importantly, the shorter punch isn't seen by the opponent, and so it tends to do more damage.
At this stage, Rocky is showing a very good jab himself, and he seems to be more authoritative. It's a straight, stiff jab, and he's shooting. If he continues to do that, it'll make it easier for his power punches.
Maybe one thing Rocky learned in being outboxed by Marco Antonio Barrera last time is that he needs to jab more frequently and more freely.
Well, that's one of the problems he's lost the fights. I've saw him lose 2 fights because he waited on power punches, and the guys outworked him.
Hard right hand by Juarez there. Over the top of Hernandez's sometimes low-held left glove.
Hernandez looks like the picture of the boxer right here, but even he admits that once he gets hit by a punch, he loses it completely and starts to slug.
Well, he looks like he ought to be a boxer, but he's also flat-footed all the time. I mean, he stands in a puncher's stance.
Yeah, and his legs are not that flexible. He's very, as I call his knees, seem that they lock. He doesn't have the flexibility in his legs.
He'll bounce between punches, but once he gets set and ready to throw, he's as flat-footed as a heavyweight, and it doesn't help him that much. Got to respect his right hand, though.
Oh, you have to respect his right hand. And in fact, at this point right now, I haven't won in the fight so far, simply by outworking Rocky Juarez.
Do fighters in a big night like this watch the fights on television, Emmanuel, and maybe even get influenced by them?
Yeah, they do. They watch the fight. Some of them just, go to sleep or take a nap, but most of them watch the fights. And a lot of time, the undercards happen to be fighters that they have been training with or working with who are on the same card, so they have an interest in watching the fight. Well, in Mayweather's case particularly, because he's an avid fight fan. He and Ricky Rice are going to see most of the fights here in Vegas, so he's definitely watching the fight.
Juarez got in a good left hook in his last combination, and a body shot for Juarez there. So a little rally down the stretch of the first round by Rocky Juarez, although, as Emmanuel pointed out, through much of the round, Jose Hernandez was the busier fighter.
I understand you got to back him up, okay? Keep them hands up high and bend your knees a little bit. After you punch, you can't step back. Step to the side. Keep them hands up. Take a deep breath right out slow. Deep breath. You got to make the opening sometimes, you understand? Feint that jab a little bit. Feint that jab.
Close your eyes and listen. Go ahead.
I want you to double the hook up in the inside for me, okay? When you get close, go to the body, but then give me 2 hooks at the top, and then come with that overhand right, because it's there, okay? But look, when he's jabbing at you, just give me that head movement. You got to get a rhythm. Get that rhythm going for me, all right? I want a good rhythm going, all right? That was a good round, all right? You finish it up strong. Let's go.
Combi box numbers in round one. Juarez 20 out of only 44 punches thrown. Hernandez 19 out of 98. So Jose Hernandez more than doubling Rocky Juarez's punch output in round one. That's exactly the kind of thing that cost Juarez his first fight with Marco Antonio Barrera in Los Angeles, where he simply didn't get going until too late in the fight to make the requisite impression on judges necessary to win.
But I expect Juarez to step it up this round. I think he's going to pick it up a little bit more.
Hernandez landed only 5 out of 59 jabs. One way in which Juarez could pick it up. Listen to trainer Ronnie Shields, who asked him very specifically, double the left hook. Don't throw one left hook at a time. Throw 2. Some good solid jabs from Juarez, and Hernandez making the point that he's going to keep throwing. Really good trainers. Go ahead.
Emmanuel, a good young prospect like Juarez is moved toward the top, and suddenly he finds that he's falling short. What can you do with him?
Well, I'm looking right here at him, and he's waiting too much still. He's an extremely accurate puncher. He very seldom misses. He's just not busy enough, and sometimes it's a mental block maybe because he's getting instructions. But the same thing that I was thinking is what you asked me about. He started off, lost a couple of fights. Right now he's trying to rebuild himself, but he's not punching enough. It's that simple.
Bringing him back down from 130 to 126, is that aimed at rebuilding his confidence and most particularly making him feel as though he's the stronger puncher?
No, I think that's his natural weight. When he fought with Barrera, I never thought he was a really 130-pounder. But I just think the fact that he just sat waiting and looking for that one big power punch. And with small guys, that doesn't happen all the time. And when you do, you're going to lose fights.
Is this a reflection of a certain loss of confidence or the supreme confidence that he once had?
Well, I think he just drifted into that habit now. The more he's gotten into a professional career, the more relaxed he's been, But when he first turned professional, he was a much busier fighter. If he punches, he wins fights because he's an active puncher.
I think that's the danger for Hernandez, and we saw it against Litzau too. Right? Okay, he throws freely, he drops his hands, he leaves himself open, he gets hit by a big counter shot and goes down.
A very good straight right hand by Juarez.
And I don't think Hernandez can hold him off.
And Juarez has fashioned most of his knockdowns in the past with that left hook. So that could be another good confidence builder for him.
You see that kind of a punch, and you know why he was once considered a top prospect.
And incidentally, this is Hernandez to the core. He's not going to grab and hold or try to slow things down because he got hurt and dumped. He's going to fight back.
No, and he has his head straight up in there still. But his thing that gets him, he starts punching back with those small punches. But you get busy blocking his punches and you'll forget about your offense.
Hernandez almost goes to the wrong corner at the end of round 2.
All right? Just keep the left hand up. You understand? You can't throw a lazy jab. You got to keep it up. Okay? Cool him down a little bit. Keep the left hand up.
Can you see clearly? Yes. No headache, nothing? No. Feel good.
Jose, keep the left hand up. Understand?
Starts out like that. You know how it ends.
Come on, hey, listen to me.
Here you see Juarez slip a jab and threw a short right hand, and Hernandez never even saw the punch because his jab was blocking his vision at the same time. And that's the punches that hurt you, the punches that you don't see.
Classic evidence right there that Rocky Juarez can punch.
And I think that can be his advantage and his disadvantage sometimes, too, because he knows he can punch.
Power shots in round 2. Juarez 18 out of 28, 64%. Hernandez landed 6 out of 19. Saw that Hernandez, after he went down, didn't stop throwing. Just wasn't as effective. But he did last the rest of the round, and he managed to stop Juarez from attacking toward the end. Juarez snapping Hernandez's head back there with a good straight jab. Once again, clocks Hernandez with the jab. You heard Sam Colonna telling Hernandez as soon as he came back to the corner, you can't throw a lazy jab.
The best jabber between the two of them is definitely Rocky, but he just doesn't jab enough. But he has a much more beautiful, authoritative straight jab when he shoots it, but he just doesn't shoot it enough.
Hernandez has got to remember to be stiff and firm with his jab and bring it back in a hurry. The one on which he got knocked down, he left it out there.
I don't think he can do it just so much. He just doesn't have that type of a coordination, I don't think.
Already here in round 3, Hernandez begins to punch from the back seat a little bit, Larry. Now he's going forward again.
Those are good jabs. Maybe,
yeah, very good jabs.
Maybe he's redesigned his approach.
Actually, he wins his fights because he's a busy fighter. And if Rocky doesn't knock this guy out and doesn't watch, he could have a rough fight going down the stretch with Hernandez right here. Simply because even after he was knocked down, Hernandez got back up, and he took control over the fight just by jabbing and being busy again. And aside for that knockdown, he actually probably would have won that round.
Juarez throwing left hooks more freely here. Hernandez busts him with a right hand.
I got you. Stop.
And drives Juarez back. Juarez up shooting his jab against the taller fighter.
I believe the winner of this fight is supposed to fight a title holder named Chris John from Indonesia.
Question becomes, will you go to Indonesia to fight him? Juan Manuel Marquez might tell you it's not a good idea.
You can't make much money and you can't get a decision.
Marquez believes he was thoroughly robbed against John in Indonesia. And his trip to Indonesia to fight John was one of a series of questionable business judgments en route to the watershed of his big victory over Marco Antonio Barrera here a couple months ago. Well, there was a lot of media attention here in this city this weekend, so of course the entire boxing world is here. Earlier today, a news conference to promote the July battle between former 154-pound world titleist Winky Wright and former middleweight and light heavyweight star Bernard Hopkins.
July 21st, Bernard gonna step in the ring, and I'm trying to put him back in the retirement. All jokes aside.
I can't go down and look at my wife and my daughter and my friends, man, and let my resume say a guy named Winky Stinky beat me. Can you imagine? I can't live with Winky.
They've agreed to fight at 170 pounds, 5 pounds south of where Hopkins beat Antonio Tarver, 10 pounds north of where Wright has ever been. And incidentally, there was another news conference in Las Vegas today to promote the heavyweight rematch between title holder Vladimir Klitschko and Layman Brewster, who got that 5th-round knockout of Klitschko under dramatic circumstances here a few years ago. Box numbers through 3. Rocky Juarez 66 out of 141. Jose Hernandez 58 out of 242. So in 3 rounds, Hernandez has already thrown 100 more punches, though landing fewer than Juarez. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim. 28-28. 2 rounds to 1 in rounds for Jose Hernandez, but Rocky Juarez gets an extra point in round 2 for knocking Jose Hernandez off his feet. So I got it all even 28-28. Jim, watch when Jose Hernandez throws that left jab. He not only jabs, he doubles it. He doubles it all the time. He sticks that jab out and then sit right there. 2 jabs before he pulls his left hand back. He's doing a good job with it. So 2-1 Hernandez, but in points, 28-28.
And with the double and triple jabs, he's immobilizing Juarez's offense, Emmanuel.
Yes, right now, I'm very impressed with Hernandez most of the time with Rocky, because Rocky has all this potential, but he's not doing it. And Hernandez is very busy. He's dictating the pace of the fight at this point. And outside of that one beautifully short right hand that Juarez landed, he hasn't did that much. To me, it's pretty much just follow Hernandez around, just picking off punches, as if he's depending on that one big punch to end the fight. Yeah, what he's doing now, he should keep doing it. Just simply staying busy with short punches, because Hernandez heads is straight up. He's not that difficult to hit if you throw punches.
Stop. Yeah, as much as Hernandez may talk to us about trying to learn to be a better defender and being more disciplined in there, he is who he is. He's an offensive fighter who is going to get hit. And if he wins, he's going to win with his courage and his resolution and his willingness to just keep coming no matter how many times you hit him.
And that's just what he's doing there. After Juarez had a good little rhythm going, Hernandez is taking back control again with those busy punches there. Not as powerful, but he's busy.
I mean, it was high drama in Miami when he rescued himself from terrible circumstances against Litzau, who was steamrolling him. It won 6 consecutive rounds big, and Litzau was winning the 8th. And suddenly Hernandez fired a right hand across the top, and boom, Jason Litzau's star status was diluted.
He's fighting a beautiful fight at this point right now. He's seen him gotten his rhythm right now. Rocky has not been able to get in his rhythm. Outside of a few seconds ago, he's not thrown about 6 or 7 punches in a row together, other than that one exchange that he had. He's doing almost exactly what he did for the second fight with Barrera.
Tonight's referee for the main event is the very athletic Kenny Bayless. Moments ago, referee's instructions from Kenny.
The end of the round, the bell sounds. He throws a late punch. You slip it, and then you retaliate, and you hit him. That punch could cost you a 2-point deduction or a disqualification. And or your opponent's head goes through the ring, and you reach through the ropes to hit him. That punch could be a 2-point deduction or a disqualification on the severity of the punch. I will be there, Oscar, at all times. Listen to my commands. Everything should go well. Any questions? No questions. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you.
Moving it, okay? That's all we need.
CompuBox numbers in round 4. Juarez 15 out of 40. 40 punches. That's just not enough activity. Rocky Juarez. Hernandez 21 out of 97. He threw 75 jabs in the round. This is what Harold Letterman told you he was scoring in having Hernandez win both the first and the third. So what question would there be about how to score the fourth? None.
Juarez landed a right hand that time, didn't have the same impact the earlier one had because Hernandez saw it.
Emmanuel, does a superstar fighter like Oscar De La Hoya in this, the 15th year of his career, know all the rules so well and so implicitly that it's icing on the cake for Kenny Bayless to be offering those specific instructions, or is it a very good thing?
It was good for Kenny. He got a little TV exposure more than he normally would have gotten, I think.
But Oscar knew all that,
and
right?
Oscar smiled about it, too, so he knew what's going on. It was nice.
There's the big left hook that could turn things around for Rocky Juarez. if he would throw it more often, as trainer Ronnie Shields asks him to do.
And you see, right after that still, Hernandez went right back to jabbing again and taking control again. And all Rocky has to do is continue to do that. But maybe he's this type of a guy that just likes to he's trained himself just to fight in spurts because he knows he's such a big puncher.
Juarez has a clean knockdown of Hernandez in the fight. But aside from that moment and the minute or so which preceded and followed, Hernandez has been able to control the flow with his constant activity. Not necessarily landing punches, just throwing so many that Juarez isn't throwing in return.
Looks to me like Hernandez's right eye is semi-closing.
Rocky seems to be picking up the pressure a little bit more with his feet. He's moving in a little bit faster, getting a lot closer, picking up the tempo. And Hernandez can't fight at a close range. All he has to do is get closer because Hernandez is a gangly guy. So he'll always beat him to the punch if he can get close enough.
Larry Hernandez had an eye that swelled shut in his battle with Litzau in Miami, but he was able to score the one-eyed knockout. Later in the lobby, as Lennox Lewis pointed out, he brought the classic movie picture, badly blackened eye, misshapen face, beautiful girl on his arm, knockout winner.
To the victor goes the Goyles.
And this has been a good round for Juarez simply because he's throwing punches this round.
That's all you got to do. Okay? You got to stay busy for me like that. Okay? How you feeling? All right. Now listen. I just need you to just stay busy for me. You keep backing him up. Do not let him come forward, okay? Keep backing him up. And look, 3 or 4 punch combinations, and I'm telling you, you're gonna knock him out. It's what it's gonna take. Don't look for the one shot. A
little bit. Try that right hook when you get inside. Touch the body, come back hard. Then come on the other side, okay? You gotta throw 3, 4 punches. Okay. You can't throw one punch at a time. Okay? You got to throw combinations.
Two very good trainers. Ronnie Shields, you may remember, as a pretty good welterweight in his day, one of those pretty good fighters who's become an excellent trainer because he understands both strengths and weaknesses. Sam Colonna training Jose Hernandez. We used to watch him a lot back in the day when he would bring Angel Manfredi to fight on HBO.
Ronnie Shields is one of the best amateurs we had in our amateur program also. And he lost in the Olympic trials in '76 in a very close decision to Sugar Ray Leonard.
It was fun to hang out with Sugar Ray Leonard in Wales recently as he came across for Joe Calzaghe against Peter Manfredo and spent some time with us. Ray always looks and feels like king of the world.
And you know, as great a professional fighter as he was to be even great as an amateur. He was phenomenal. And a tremendous puncher as an amateur fighter also.
And the star of one of the United States' greatest ever Olympic teams, Montreal in 1976.
The greatest. Forget the winning because the '84 Olympic team won a lot, but the Cubans wasn't there. When Ray Leonard and Spinks and those guys fought, the Cubans were there and they was knocking out the Cuban fighters.
That's right. Leonard beat a Cuban fighter for a gold medal, and Michael Spinks beat a Cuban fighter for a gold medal, and Leon Spinks did the same.
And the Russians weren't in Los Angeles either.
Right.
That's right. Big John Tate, Leo Randolph, Howard Davis. Great names on the Montreal team in '76.
James Mooney. Charles Walker.
Good memory, Emmanuel.
Yep. Rocky seems to sometimes lull himself into a relaxing mood if he's not getting hit with any power punches. And what he doesn't realize that you may not be getting hurt, but you're still losing points because somebody's winning a round, whether it's exciting or not. And in the case of this, he gets behind on points. And outside of the last round and the knockdown, he really hasn't did too much in this fight.
Juarez lands the more authoritative punches. but he isn't able to take advantage of the contrast in his punching styles in this fight in the same way that Batista was against Sergio Medina in the last fight.
Batista is just 20 years old. Still, he says, a growing boy. You think he's going to be able to do well as a full featherweight, Emmanuel?
Yes, I do. Tonight was a very impressive night because he was seriously hurt, came back, and I think it was about 2 rounds he was still hurt seriously, and that he won. But I was very impressed with him tonight.
Since we brought it up, incidentally, the 1984 Olympic team in Los Angeles had Pernell Whitaker, Eldrick Taylor, Evander Holyfield, and there was a heavyweight named Mike Tyson who didn't quite make the team. Virgil Hill, variety of terrific fighters on that team. Terrell Biggs. Kenny Bayless, you saw him a little while ago in Oscar De La Hoya for referee's instructions there. Now let's go to Floyd Mayweather's dressing room for the same.
If your opponent head happens to go through the ropes and you go over and punch him as his head is on the outside of the ropes, that could also cost you a 2-point deduction or a disqualification. Okay. I'm going to be there at all times. Okay. Listen to my commands. Everything should go well. All right, thank you. Any questions, sir? No questions. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's go.
All right.
Good morning.
All right, thank you.
There is Floyd Mayweather's father, former professional fighter and a trainer of both his son and then later of Oscar De La Hoya. De La Hoya has trained for the last 7 years. We were told that both Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya would be leaving tickets for Mayweather Sr. and our judgment of the seat location of Mayweather Sr. In fact, he told us explicitly he is sitting in the seat provided by Oscar De La Hoya, not in the seat provided by his son. In fact, he told us he was skeptical that his son would actually leave him a ticket. But who knows? He surely made certain that he's sitting in the seat provided by De La Hoya. I'm told that De La Hoya also provided him a hotel room for the weekend. Copy box numbers through 6. Juarez 121 out of 286. Hernandez 126 out of 250. A dramatic contrast in the number of punches thrown, including 341 jabs thrown already through 6 rounds by Hernandez. Harold Letterman, how do you score it?
Okay, Jim, I got it 3 rounds apiece, but in the all-important points category, 57-56, Rocky Juarez. You know, he's got that extra point for the knockdown in round 2, and that's what's winning him the fight so far. Rocky had a good 5th round where he started to move his hands, a good 6th round where he started to come on a bit. So he evened it up at 3 rounds apiece. He's got a 1-point advantage because of the knockdown. Hands free.
Just for any who missed our opening on camera on the pay-per-view telecast here, Emmanuel, you've already made the point that regardless of where Floyd Sr. sits, whether he's in Oscar's seat or Floyd's seat, whose hotel room he stayed in, et cetera, none of this is going to bother Floyd Mayweather.
No, and I kind of look at Floyd Sr. kind of frustrated. He's got to be the most frustrated man in this building tonight. He's not working with Oscar De La Hoya, a fighter he's worked with for 7 years, made a lot of money. He's not working with his son, and it's a big factor just where he can even get a seat to set tonight.
Hey, look at the bright side. He might have been the only guy here with an extra seat, Emmanuel. I mean, he had a ticket he could have given away.
That man wants to be in the spotlight. It's not about a seat. He wants to be in the midst of everything.
So who is he rooting for? His son or Oscar De La Hoya, who he has trained up to now?
That's $1 million, the $2 million question, I should say.
Well, the $2 million
that's
he
the fee,
didn't get.
Yeah, that he did his fee, yes.
Now this is a semi-windup that is not worthy of a huge event like this.
Although more competitive than a lot of people thought it would be. I mean, a part of the criticism was that it was a mismatch, that Hernandez didn't really belong in the ring with Juarez. And so far, that hasn't been the case. I agree with you, it's not a great fight, but it's not a wipeout.
No, and actually, when I've gathered scoring-wise, I would have the fight about even, and maybe I would not have Juarez that far ahead. He's shown he's got skill, but he's just not busy enough to me.
Well, Harold had him 1 point ahead, and that was because of the knockdowns. You want one more comment on that subject, Larry? You brought it up.
I don't get any sizzle from this fight. I want to be sizzled.
You slowly breaking this guy down now. This guy this guy, look, it's just a matter of time, Rock. If you put punches together, I'm telling you, it's just a matter of time right now. But you got to make him go back, all right? And look, you're throwing the hook is there, but you got to be closer. You try to throw it from the outside, okay? You're too far on the outside. If you can touch you with the jab, then that means you're close enough, all right? Okay.
When you're close. When you got to be close to him, okay? Back him up. Keep backing him up. You're going to do all right. You got to back him up and throw that right hand straight. Don't lean into it. Okay? Come on, take a deep breath. Let it out slow.
CompuBox averages through round 7. Juarez averaging 20 punches landed in 47 thrown. Hernandez 19 punches landed in 85 thrown. So Juarez with by far the better percentage, but Hernandez busier, throwing more punches, and this will become one of those scoring questions. Which catches the eye of the judges more? Efficiency or prolificity? Maybe I should call it abundance. Triple jab from Hernandez. Mixes in the occasional right hand. Once again, double jab and another right hand. Double jab, right hand. And none of this is answered by Juarez. Double jab. Another jab. It's about 15 straight punches that Hernandez throws without Juarez throwing at all.
No, that's a very bad habit, especially for a small guy. If he's going to be a real threat in the smaller weight division with guys like Marquez and Barrera and those guys, and even Pacquiao, he's going to have to make some major changes. Otherwise, he's going to be fighting these type fights the rest of his career.
Hard right hand by Hernandez. His confidence seems to be rising again. It's been long enough for him to forget the knockout, or the knockdown, I should say, on a perfect counter right hand shot over a lazy jab. He's done a pretty good job of muffling Juarez's dangerous left hook. Setting up right now, I want to warn you in advance, for Larry Merchant to have a conversation with Floyd Mayweather Sr. between rounds, and no doubt he'll get to that question we were discussing. Who is Mayweather Sr. rooting for? Particularly given that he's sitting in a seat provided not by his son, but by Oscar De La Hoya. Blood now coming from a mark outside the left eye of Rocky Juarez. Did it come from a right-hand punch from Hernandez, or did it come from head contact? This is a very inactive round for Rocky Juarez after he had been rallying back on the scorecards. He misses wildly with a left hook. And Hernandez looks very confident at this moment.
Don't get him more, Rocky.
Rocky is looking for that one big power punch, you know, and that's not in. And when you're fighting the top level guys, that's the one thing, regardless of the skill level, they usually can take a pretty good punch. That's why they're able to survive and stay at the top. And you can't just depend on a knockout. You have to have some kind of consistency.
There's a rally by Juarez, who suddenly throws a bunch of punches and lands his most significant left hook in quite a while. And it looks as though Juarez suddenly realized at the end of the round that he hadn't done much. And now let's go to Larry Merchant.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Floyd, your fighter, your son, you have mixed emotions tonight.
Very much so. Very much so. I really don't want to see either one of these guys even fight. You know, I trained Oscar for 6 years, and I trained my son to be world champion. And I just don't want to see these guys fight, but what's done is done.
You have a rooting interest. Where is your heart? Where is your head?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I got to be honest, man. You know, blood thicker than mud, man. I got to ride with my son, but, you know, I don't want it to happen, man, because, you know, Oscar been very, very good to me. And I appreciate Oscar. Oscar's a good guy, fine guy, and I really like Oscar. I really do. But it really bothers me that this fight is taking place, but this is what my son wanted for a long time, you know, and at the end of the day, it's going to be the best man win.
So you're rooting for a draw?
That'd be good. It'll be fine, but you know something? Even if it come out to be a draw, they're going to have to come back and do a rubber match. What do you think about that?
Well, all that money, you want to see everybody get rich, you want to see a big crowd, you want to see millions of people involved in boxing?
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing.
Stop.
In the richness part, Floyd Mayweather Sr. lost his wealth in this particular event. I can tell you that. I gave up a lot.
You gave up a lot. When you asked for $2 million for this fight, did you think, well, they're going to turn me down and that's okay?
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you like this. You know, from the standpoint that me and my son was feuding so bad, you know, and some of the things that he has been saying about his daddy and things of that nature, I really felt at the time I wanted to do it. But, you know, I knew somewhere Oscar did the right thing. Oscar did the right thing because at that time, Stop. You know, sometimes just because you're angry, you know, you shouldn't let
It would have been too much of a distraction.
You shouldn't let your anger take control. And my thing is at the end of the day, I know I would have felt bad if something would have happened to my son.
So you're happy sitting ringside and hoping for the best for...
Well, you know something? I'm being neutral with the situation. I'm just laying back, coming here to enjoy the show and hoping that they give a good show, but hope don't nobody get hurt. You know, but the best man is going to win.
And who is that?
Well, let me say this right here, that Oscar's a devastating puncher. And plus, he's the bigger man. You got my son, all the skills in the world. I mean, you know, he's a elusive fighter. He's fast, he's quick, he think fast, and you know, tremendous defense. All those things are hard to overcome. Stop. And if just so happened that Oscar don't do what he's supposed to do, he still should have took the father. Anyway, because I'm saying that, and then again, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, if Oscar be beating, if Little Floyd be beating Oscar all the way through this fight, and Oscar somehow find the range or the distance to get his left hook off, a lot of people gonna say it was luck. Oscar got lucky. There's no such thing as luck in a fight. Because if Oscar's throwing his left hook, he's trying to do damage, and he's trying to get him out of there. And if he do that and happen to catch my son, you know, the intention was good. I just don't want everybody to say that, you know, on Oscar has, because I'm giving my son his prop. Also, you got to give him another man his props.
Thank you very, very much, Floyd, for joining us.
Thank you, lad.
Jim?
Extremely poignant stuff from Floyd Mayweather Sr. For 70 years, trainer of Oscar De La Hoya, and for all of his life, father of Floyd Mayweather. In the 9th round, Hernandez was 18 out of 82. Juarez was 14 out of 44. Harold, how do you have it coming to the last 3 rounds of the fight?
Okay, Jim. 5 rounds to 4 in favor of the tall, herky-jerky, gangly guy, Jose Andres. But in points, the all-important points factor, I have it 85-85 all even because Rocky Juarez gets an extra point in round 2 for the knockdown. Jim, in rounds 8 and 9, the 2 crucial rounds that just passed us by, Jose Hernandez outworked Rocky Juarez in both those rounds. I mean, Juarez comes in, looks at him, doesn't punch. Jose just keeps doubling and tripling that left jab, coming across with the right hand. So he wins round 8 and 9 to even it up.
Emmanuel Stewart, I rather doubt that the people in Rocky Juarez's corner, his manager Shelly Finkel, his trainer Ronnie Shields, thought there was any chance he'd be dead even on a scorecard with Jose Hernandez after 9 rounds in this fight. So the pressure's on Juarez. What would you tell him to do?
Well, I tell you what, if Juarez starts punching these last few rounds, which I think he will, I think he still has a good chance of stopping Hernandez, because it's really up to him. But it seems like he has a mental block that's bothering him, that he just can't let the punches go. But, right now, this fight should never be this close right here, because Hernandez is not that difficult to hit.
He's got guts for days, though.
He's got guts, and he's busy. He's a very busy fighter.
Incidentally, we all know what it means for Juarez to have been on the Olympic team in 2000. Hernandez won a Golden Gloves championship in '97. How good, how important at this stage of amateur boxing development are the Golden Gloves?
Well, not as much as it used to be. It's the Golden Gloves. All amateur boxing is kind of falling by the wayside. I've got fighters of mine right now, and I'm not even concerned about them even making the Olympics. The Olympics, it's politics down, and even the scoring is just nothing but a computer game. And you can win a gold medal without beating anyone, just winning a computer game. So the value of success in amateurs is really dwindling now.
Does that mean that you would tell fighters to turn pro earlier than used to be the case?
To get the experience, get you about 60, 70 fights and turn professional. If you win a championship, fine. If you go to medal, if you don't, forget it. I don't put value on the amateur championships anymore as I used to.
Incidentally, the cut over Rocky Juarez's left eye, which emerged a couple of rounds ago, we were told between rounds while Larry was interviewing Floyd Mayweather Sr. that cut was caused by a Hernandez punch. So it's unlikely that the fight is going to be stopped because of Juarez's cut, but if that turned out to be the case, there would be no question about rulings. It would be a TKO victory for Hernandez.
Hernandez doesn't have experience in these type fights, so he's very vulnerable to be knocked out or seriously hurt the next few rounds.
Isn't that just an amazing situation with Floyd Sr.?
Oscar De La Hoya in his dressing room, and yes, unquestionably, Larry, it is an amazing and poignant situation with Floyd Mayweather Sr. And just as you see the placid calm on the utterly professional exterior of Oscar De La Hoya, you could feel Floyd Sr.'s guts churning as he talked about his son. You see him right there, and mentioned all of the inner turmoil that he's experiencing in anticipating this fight. And what an ironic picture there as you look at Freddie Roach in the yellow shirt. Trainer for one time only, presumably tonight, of Oscar De La Hoya, in there to supervise the hand wrapping and the lacing up of the gloves of Floyd Mayweather.
With a very unusual deal. One I don't know if I've heard about before, Emmanuel. $500,000 plus $500,000 if Oscar wins?
Yeah, it's a very complicated situation there. You know, everything's dependent on winning. And, you know...
Isn't that good?
It's good in a win. It's not. If you really feel that you're going to win the fight in your confidence, you don't pay people according to win or lose all the time. But maybe that's what he wants to do.
You know, but it's also Freddie Roach has become something of a figure in boxing through this fight in particular, although he's had many big fights because of 24/7 and the fact that he has Parkinson's syndrome, and yet he can perform so well both physically and mentally.
Not only is he a good trainer, but probably maybe the hardest working guy. He's like 12 hours a day. He actually lives almost next to the gym. He just works all the time.
Well, I'm told that Freddie Roach's doctors would tell you that in dealing with his Parkinson's syndrome, one of the best things for him, as long as he can maintain his energy, is to work constantly, focus constantly.
And he's doing that.
Which interests him.
And he does it.
CompuBox numbers in 10. Juarez apparently feeling a much greater sense of urgency. Landed 31 out of 68. His high water marks for both landed punches and thrown punches in the fight. And correspondingly, Hernandez slipped 13 out of 61. His low water marks for both landed and thrown punches in the fight. And once again here in the 11th, Juarez is throwing more and Hernandez is on the defensive more because of the greater power that Rocky Juarez can generate. Juarez trying to pull off a late round rally and secure a victory in a fight in which he was heavily favored to win. Now a little comeback from Hernandez, and even at this late stage of the fight, the lighter punching Hernandez gets his activity rate going. Juarez doesn't throw.
Bloody nose for Hernandez.
And Hernandez coming to the
Hard
fight.
right hand by Juarez stuns Hernandez. 2 good body shots. Another right hand inside. Hernandez on the defensive, and Rocky Juarez looking to really score some damage down the stretch of the 11th inning.
Hands free, hands free. Go hold on, Rock. Hands free. Hands free.
These are the kind of energetic bursts Juarez's handlers might have liked to have seen in the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah, you know, Hernandez's eyes look like they came in the ring swollen up to begin with. They've been seem to be getting worse as the fight goes on. And, you know, once again, once he becomes offensive again, Juarez has went back on a defensive mode again.
Absolutely right. All Hernandez needs to do to muffle Rocky Juarez's offense is to throw.
Throw punches. As long as punches is coming to Juarez, he cuts off.
No mistakes. Don't give me out on no mistakes. Keep the hands high. Keep the head moving now, okay? Last round. Everything is good. Look, keep them hands up. Look, don't go back from this guy, okay? Don't mess around and back up to something, all right? Yeah.
Jose, we need a knockout, you hear me? Okay. We got to get this guy with that uppercut right hand. What you got, buddy? This is it right here, okay? You come this far, you got to do it. Come on. Take the jab right hand, but you got to step into him. Step into him. Okay. Come on, let's go.
Looking around, 95% of the seats in the arena are already filled. Prior to the minutes before the main event, that's quite unusual in Las Vegas. And you heard Sam Colonna telling Jose Hernandez that he needs a knockout. Colonna, with no illusions about which is the favored fighter and which is the guy at whom judges have most likely been looking with the more favorable eye, tells Hernandez that he's got to go in and throw an uppercut and knock Juarez down and out. Both of Hernandez's eyes swelling toward blackness now.
Stop, stop, stop. I got you. Let him turn around.
And once again, showing the resolution and courage which largely defines him as a fighter, Jose Hernandez is going after Juarez and following the instructions Sam Colonna gave him.
He's doing a great job doing with what he has to work with. He doesn't have as many tools as Juarez, another experience in these type fights, but he's working and doing the best that he can. Even if he gets hit, he keeps punching. And is very much into the fight.
Hernandez with his first 6-figure payday tonight, and he has earned it. Juarez looking to set up bigger business down the road in the 126-pound division. He'd love a rematch against Humberto Sosa, who knocked him out of his unbeaten record in Chicago a year and a half ago. He's probably beyond any possible third meeting with Marco Antonio Barrera, but he wants to eliminate the bitter memory of those 2 losses. He'd like to face, as everyone would, 126 and 130-pound kingpin Juan Manuel Marquez. Marquez, of course, angles toward a possible rematch with Barrera, or maybe that much-anticipated second time around with Manny Pacquiao. Their first fight ended in a draw.
Stop, stop.
Hernandez motioning Juarez toward him as if to say, I've only got 40 seconds left to knock you out, dude. Get over here. That double, triple jab is like a habit for Hernandez. Just keeps doing it. Juarez with a hard left hook.
Good right hand by Hernandez.
Just keeps coming. 10 seconds to go in the fight. Looks like Juarez's late round rally is going to earn him what has been an elusive victory. We'll wait and see if the official scorers agree with that assessment. in a matter of minutes.
Well, regardless of what the official outcome is, Hernandez is the winner in this fight.
Emotionally,
emotionally, yes, he's in for the crowd too.
He carried the fight all the way. He's the one who performed above what is expected to be his potential in the bout. And Harold Letterman gives the 12th round to Hernandez, leaving Juarez on the Letterman card with a razor-thin 1-point edge. Let's see if Rocky got the benefit of the doubt from the 3 judges sitting at ringside. Those 3 names, incidentally: Adelaide Byrd, 37 title fights. Easy decision for Shane Mosley over Luis Collazo earlier this year. Bert Clements, 18 title fights. One of those who scored the famous Marquez-Pacquiao fight, to which I referred just moments ago. And he was the one who had it even at 113-113. One judge had a one-sided score in favor of Pacquiao, and the third judge had a one-sided score in favor of Marquez. And Glenn Trowbridge, recent notable fight, had Oleg Moskaev ahead of Hasim Rahman before Moskaev scored the knockout of Rahman. 3 good judges. Let's go to Michael Buffer and find out how they scored it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the MGM Grand, we go to the judges' scorecards. Glenn Trowbridge scores at 115-112. Bert Clements, 116-111. Adelaide Byrd, 117-110. All to the winner by unanimous decision, Ricardo Rocky Juarez.
Juarez gets the unanimous decision victory. And that's a big relief to Juarez and the people around him. We'll take a look at final CompuBox numbers, which are going to show a huge edge for Hernandez in total punches thrown. He threw exactly 400 more, but Juarez landed 20 more, thus the giant connect percentage disparity, 41% to 22%. The jab category would be all Hernandez. But this is all we're going to see right now, and now let's go upstairs to James Brown as we get ready